Let's do this. Welcome to the pick, everybody. This is Process Innovation Challenge number 15. We made it. 15 already.
15, huh? Do you know any 15-year-olds? I know a few, and you know, it started as a toddler.
Here we go.
It's become a teenager. Yeah. What do you mean, here we go? So it's also sometimes called 14 plus 1, but 15, we'll stick with that. Of course, iPhone 15 is just out, Alex.
Really?
Is this a coincidence, Alex?
I'm going to say no.
I just want to thank Apple for making that happen for us. Well done, thank you. You brought it out in time for pick 15. We appreciate the gesture. Anyone got it? An iPhone 15? Anyone?
Not yet.
No? Well, we've a hand over there, another one there, another one there. Great to hear. I hope it didn't burn a hole in your pocket to get one. Sorry, that's been fixed, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And of course, the original iPhone was 115 millimeters tall. Do you know that?
Another coincidence.
Another coincidence. We like coincidences at the pick. So, by the way, we also like using phones. I use a brick. What do you use?
I've got an iPhone.
As you can tell in the previous slide, of course. First gremlin of the pick. Nice selfie, Alex.
Thank you.
So, as you saw, we've had 14 previous picks. I don't think our user interface display has got bigger, like the iPhone maybe, but we have tried to make the event larger with this fabulous audience. Let's hear you. We've attracted in more innovation talent. They're sitting here nervously waiting.
We've also trimmed things down at the pick. You're looking great, Dave.
Thank you.
Clearly not the intro, though.
We haven't trimmed down the intro, no. Nor the quality of the innovations. No, sir. No way. We've had 13 previous winners. One person, Riekert, won it twice. 14 runners-ups. 85 finalists so far. Any finalists in the audience, raise your hand. There you go. Pick people. Pick. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, who's going to be next? Speaking of long intros, if you've been here before, you know what's coming, kind of. I was reading about neuroplasticity the other week, by coincidence, and I came across Michael Greenberg. Anyone hear of him? Didn't think so. It struck me that the pick is also a form of neuroplasticity. In the final, we show 6 innovations, the innovators do, in 42 minutes, and not to mention over the 20 we saw in preliminary rounds, which you can see on YouTube. All these ideas pinging around, right? So the brain has to be rubbery and malleable when you're in the audience. And as for the innovators, they have to go through their own transition process to be able to adapt their idea and speak in 3.5 minutes. That's their pitch time. Anyway, back to Michael Greenberg. And he won the Gruber Prize in 2015
Boom, boom.
with Carla Schatz. No, it's not that Gruber, right? He didn't dish out prizes. Dry and dry six stuck for come so forth, Alex. There's Carla. Does she look like anyone you know? Or is Donna? You know, alter ego, maybe? All right. How many prizes do you think Carla Schatz has won?
15?
No, 14, but we know she's going to win one more because she's brilliant. Anyway, that lab, Schatz lab, is in Stanford University. Anyone been to Stanford? There's a few. All right, and you know, if you were to go to Stanford from here, imagine it.
Here we go.
And you don't have to imagine it because Alex is going to help us. There he is. Okay, watch Alex. And there he goes. And he goes, oh, yeah, Apple. He's done a circle of Apple. You came back to shortcut.
15 miles exactly.
No, ish. It's 15 miles-ish. Okay, but on the way back was a bit less. All right, so nice one, Alex. What do we do now?
Well, we should probably progress a bit, huh?
Yeah.
What a final we have for you today. Welcome to all 6 of our innovators who you see on the stage here, and they put in more than 100% effort to get here today.
Yeah, and we should progress, but you know, we deviate. Here's one for you. When you talk about 100%, and you know you're in a room and someone says, I want you to give more than 100%. Have you ever been in that situation? Yeah, heads are nodding. What if we represent each letter of the alphabet by a number, right? A is 1%, B is 2, C is 3. You with me, class? Hard work is 98%. That'll get you there. Knowledge is 96%. Attitude is?
100%.
Very good. Now, be aware, class. You got to be careful here. What's bullshit? Just saying. So you have to be careful. However, if you look at innovation, all right, and that's what we're talking about here today, what do you get with innovation? So we say, look, 133. We say, keep doing your hard work, have your knowledge and attitude, and add that innovative spirit, and you'll always be giving more than 100%. Do you like that? Thank you. Hey, Alex, there's even a few 15s there. Look, it's in the stars, Alex.
South Silicon Valley and shout to my colleague who's there with you. For me and for us at Creative Words, pitching at the Process Innovation Challenge and being on the podium in Malmo was a multiplier. It helped us multiplying the connections that you would make at LocWorld. It multiplied our exposure as a language service provider. But above all, it multiplied the value of our idea thanks to the many follow-ups we've had with great people. Thank you.
To me, the value of the PIC is that it brings to the surface the best ideas from the ocean of information we swim in daily. I also love the short pitch format, which forces contestants to present the very essence of their innovations. I will never forget my first PIC experience. I took from it a lot of inspiration and also some great connections with industry peers.
Hi, San Jose. PIC is such a wonderful place to share innovative ideas, and with so many things happening in the technology world right now, you might say you need to be keeping many balls in the air, but even that can be improved. I'll see you next time.
You have to keep many balls in the air. Thanks, Rafael. Just some voices from people, and obviously we're trying to get you involved in a future PIC, so that's that done. We'd like to welcome our dragons, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to introduce our dragons. We're really thrilled to have all three of them here today. We have Alessandra Benazzi, Eric Vogt, and Ben Cornelius. Thanks, dragons. Our dragons will be posing the tough questions right after the pitches.
There's you and me.
Yeah, no, well, I also just wanted to mention that we couldn't do this without the help of our PIC advisory board. Jeff Kaiser and Donna Parrish have been so valuable in helping guide us in our journey to continue to expand and build the platform. I'm also glad to say that Multilingual Magazine, once again offering a prize for the Process Innovator of the Year. You'll notice they're enhanced as well. Thank you very much to Marjolein and the team at NMLC, and please pop over and say hello to them at their booth. And speaking of 15 congratulations, what about women in localization?
15 years.
Congratulations to them.
Coincidence, Alex?
I think not.
All right, let's get on. So, as you said, final, you're saying get off the show and get the innovators on. Well, that's what we're going to do. So, let's start with Emily and ask her to join us on the stage.
Come with me. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dragons. My name is Emily Randall. I'm here with Uber, and I'm thrilled to be here today. We know this problem pretty well. Translators need detailed information about the string in front of them, right at what I'm calling the point of translation. All the relevant context, like an image, to get the translation done right, but nothing more. That's what you want. This is what you get, a naked list of strings and key names. There's never enough context to ensure quality. Sure, there's a vendor information portal, but it's in a different tab and it's full of PRDs that you can't pick through. You don't have the time for that. Meanwhile, the client-side localization program managers are really trying to bridge this vendor knowledge gap, but we can't track down the authors of the content. So, at Uber, we wanted to fix this problem at its core. Here's the core of the problem. This manual and confusing process is what we are replacing at Uber internally with this innovation. It turns out it's a wider reaching problem than just getting context to our vendors, because we found that we didn't have a centralized tool to store or deploy content. There are so many handoffs, including our developers copy, pasting, and spending thousands of hours doing that per year. Nothing is traceable with this process. In fact, if you take a look at each red arrow, that is a point where content is being handed from a tool or person getting lost along the way. If your head hurts looking at it, imagine being the engineer in the middle of that. Inadequate string descriptions and a general lack of governance led to 90% of bugs and queries getting stopped in the triage process. It cost an average of 30 minutes of triage activity by localization program managers per bug, and when you consider that my team handled 3,000 bugs last year, getting that efficiency back would be like adding an entire extra team member. So, what did we do? Here's the innovation. We built Quill, a homegrown authoring tool where product teams come together to write, approve, and publish product content. Quill is a web-based tool providing content governance and visibility internally and externally to our localization vendors. By moving the entire content production process into Quill, we created a single source of truth. That's a large scope of pain points to try to get our hands around. So we evaluated existing tools on the market, but they were either translation tools that don't allow an adequate production space for our other functions, or content tools that don't really handle unique localization use cases. So design and localization at Uber came together to co-imagine Quill. We took a design-led approach, including interviewing and shadowing all of the other functions that need to work in this tool, to just get it right. We launched our MVP in June, and I'm here to announce that we are taking on a steady cadence of one new project per week into Quill. There's more exciting news. One moment. Now we're moving right along through adding more features for everybody, and in a year we are going to have all content for product UI created inside Quill. It's going to be so comprehensive that we will be able to use it for our LQA and QA baseline information. So how does it work for translators? Anybody with a string that was created through a Quill project can access the links back onto this screen, which is the Quill screen information. So any translator with a Quill created key can go from string to image to knowledge right at the point of translation. Thank you.
Emily, so the quill is mightier than the sword.
Yes, it is.
Let's see what the dragons think of that.
We're quilling it every day over it.
Quilling it every day.
Nice.
Well done.
Emily, that was super fun. And it's rare that we see such a focus on the international customer or industry. But how did you get that done? How did you get your internal teams to be not just interested, but excited and produce this kind of rare thing?
It really is unique that a tech company like Uber would lean so far into fixing a localization problem. We are lucky that our executives listen when we say, hey, there's a better way of doing something. If you have a good enough idea and a loud enough voice at Uber, you can get development headcount to assign to your project.
Awesome.
Yes, I think a lot of organizations would love to be able to do that. And getting all your resources in check and aligned and buying in, I think, is huge. One thing that is not completely clear to me is this basically an interface that centralizes a lot of the work that authors and localization do? Mm-hmm. So the authoring tools are still, are kind of in the background, as well as the TMS, the localization tool, or is really everything included and homegrown in this new tool?
That's a great question. So it is the authoring tool. Things move up from a visual design in Figma right into Quill. That's where it gets authored by our content design team or anybody who needs to create content at Uber. We're going to expand that use case. Legal comes in, they comment, they approve, it moves to developers, developers take over from there. It is going to link to the localization tool chain and come back into itself production-wise.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Well done. So next up, Sharif, we'll ask you to join us. Good luck.
Hi everyone, I am Sharif and I am with the African Languages Lab. Before I dive into our innovation today, I have a very quick question. It's a pop quiz. How big do you think the continent of Africa is? Huge, yes, I love that answer. It is huge. It is so huge you can fit the United States, most of Europe, all of India, Japan, and China in there. That's how huge it is. It's huge and also comes with a population of 1.5 billion people. So with this large geography and large population, you get a melting pot of languages. This is a screenshot from the African Languages website, and it showcases just a tiny subset of the 2,000 African languages that are spoken on the continent. So now I bring this up because I want you to imagine the scale that we are talking about here. We have a population of 1.5 billion and over 2,000 languages. I want you to hold that thought, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the African Languages Lab. The African Languages Lab is a nonprofit that exists for two primary reasons. One, make information accessible to innovators and researchers like yourselves. And two, conduct research on low-resource languages ourselves. As we try to achieve these two goals, there's a fundamental issue we kept running into, and there's no way around it. That fundamental issue is data. Now, we have over 2,000 languages, 1.5 billion people, data that we need to do research and make it available to researchers. How do we do this? Our answer to that challenge is an app called All Voices. And All Voices, as the name implies, is a very simple and innovative tool, and I'm going to mention some of the key innovations from this app. Now, the first thing about All Voices is that it is the only platform that we are aware of that allows you to collect data on any low-resource language. Now, the African Languages Lab, I told you, is a nonprofit. We don't have too many resources to do too many things, so we didn't want to build this, to be honest with you. We wanted to just collect data and do our work, but it was impossible. So we had to spend over a year building this tool. The other thing I want to mention is that with All Voices, you can collect data directly between any two low-resource languages, completely bypassing English. And given the self-selecting nature of the people in this room, I'm sure it's evident why that is so relevant. The other key innovation with All Voices is that you can collect data in both text and audio in an end-to-end pipeline. Data comes in text, and in the end, it can exit as audio. Now, All Voices also allows you to validate your data within the app, and that can be done using an internal team, or you can just outsource it or crowdsource it, and everyone in the community can contribute to it. All Voices is also very intuitive and user-friendly, as you can see over there. Essentially, thumbs up, thumbs down, swipe, and you're done. The final thing I want to highlight about All Voices is that it's completely free and open to everybody. So I really hope that my short pitch here has demonstrated the scale of the problem we're talking about here and how it transcends beyond localization to research on all other industries, and how All Voices attempts to fix this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharif. So one question I have is, you've lowered the barrier of entry, so the app is available for free. There's a vast amount of data that you're trying to collect. What are the barriers to getting to the next step on this? You have a platform, what comes next, and how do you get there?
That's a great question. It's something we've spent a lot of time thinking about. And again, there are 2,000 languages, and it's hard to get to especially the tail end of these languages. So what we've thought about and what we are currently working on is working with grassroots organizations who are also trying their very best to somehow collect data on their languages, mostly as a passion project, mostly because this work we are doing mostly, it's good to make profit, But for these low-tail languages, we understand that there isn't too much of a profit reason to go in there. And so we are working with mostly companies that do altruistic stuff and working with those grassroots organizations to collect data at that level. In the future, though, we are hoping to sort of go work directly with these folks on the ground. But like I said, we are a nonprofit, so we do with what we have. Yeah.
Considering your limited resources and the way that this needs to roll out, are you also working with these grassroots organizations to get people to know that your app exists, to help onboard, or how are you getting people to the awareness state, and how are you growing use of all voices?
Right. So essentially the question is about how we grow in awareness. We try to work with closely with very on-ground organizations. So for example, there are communities in Ghana and Ethiopia who we work with, and we've gone to even the next stage where not only are we partnering with them to collect data, but also use that data to start to build engines and resources for them. So for example, in Ethiopia, one of the projects we're doing is deploying a conversational chatbot that answers menstrual and sexual health questions in Amharic. And we are looking to do some of those even lower resource languages. So that is how we try to do it at this point, really try to partner with organizations who are trying to do something like this just so we can amplify the results. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharif.
Yep.
Great job, wasn't it? Brilliant. So we're moving along now, right? Matthias, join us.
Thank you, Dave. All right. Yeah, I'm Mathijs. I'm with Blackbird. And I hope you are inspired today. Inspired by talking to the people next to you, seeing the solutions outside. Inspired by Jason's keynote. Inspired by this Process Innovation Challenge. Because we're really all talking about generative AI, large language models. That's the real big topic. The question, though, how do you start using them? If you're serious about localization, you know that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, right? There's no one model, not one prompt, not one workflow that works, because every client is different. Every end user is different, because every purpose for which the end user is getting that language is different. So you need to be in control. And furthermore, this technology is very young, right? It's adapting very quickly. So if you're investing in a solution today, maybe it's already obsolete by the next LocWorld. How do you go from the very familiar ChatGPT interface that everybody knows to an actual service your clients or you can use? Well, ChatGPT has an answer, but let me tell you, it would take a team of engineers, localization experts to build something with, it takes a lot of time, resources, money, patience, infrastructure, you know it. That team can build one solution, maintain it, takes a lot of time. You can build maybe a couple more, 5, but then you're done, and that does not scale, right? We believe that everyone in the localization industry should have the power of large language models at their fingertips and the ability to customize exactly what you want. Our workflow orchestrator is a powerful tool that allows you to build LLM-powered automations in a very visual and user-friendly way. We don't just give you access to these endpoints. Now we wrap around them to make it very easy for you to build very customized solutions with them that you can instantly deploy and use on actual content. In this example right here, I'm using a combination of Cohere, OpenAI, and DeepL, for example, to work on actual content when it's published, summarize it, analyze it, translate it, post-edit it, and repurpose it into a social media post. Now imagine adding your term bases or having the same tone of voice as other posts. You can customize it exactly the way you want. With the workflow orchestrator, you can play, you can experiment, and ultimately that will lead to the optimal solution for your problem. Where before you needed a team of people to build one solution, now you need one person to build a myriad of them. Where before it took a lot of time and effort to build that, now it really only takes a couple of minutes. And where before you could really only offer one service, translation, now you have the full power of large language models behind you, and you can offer any content repurposing service that you can think of. We are, in a sense, a meta-innovation. We're trying to open the door for you to build very creative things that we haven't even thought about. We want to democratize the power of these technologies and put them in your hands. And one more thing, if you want to keep a human in the loop, of course you still can, right? Thank you, Dragons, and to you, I hope you have a very inspirational day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's great because this is really an enabler for all of us to be able to take advantage of and leverage these technologies. One thing, though, is interesting because, you know, these are great technologies, but we know, and we actually, this was reinforced during the keynote today, is that the technology is one thing, and, you know, people understand it more or less, but the key is the use cases, right? Creativity and how to really leverage this technology and what you can do with it is the most important thing. So by enabling this, what are some of the coolest use cases that you've seen or you've imagined if you haven't, you know, seen too many yet?
The coolest use case I've seen and that we had some people really experiment with because, yeah, we tried to lead the way in a sort of sense, is actually taking a look at the content that you've already published in a certain language, for example, then having it categorize that, tone of voice it, a lot of metrics, and then basically instructing the next model to repurpose the same content in the same style. So you always have a lot of consistency. Another example, like I showed a very simple one, repurposing content in one way. Actually, if I go back, there are a lot more use cases for that on the screen, but the quality prediction is also a very interesting one, together with like automated post-editing. We found that it's actually providing real good results. So it really enhances that NMT, but with an actual trained model, with actual existing translations, you can get very great output.
Thank you. I'll have another one if you don't want.
I was going to jump in and ask questions.
I'll ask one.
Well, Dave is going to jump in. Dave, you going to just make more 15 jokes, or you got an actual question? Okay, more 15 jokes it is. All right. Matthias, so we've seen some other examples where I think what Alessandra was getting at is, what about combining use cases, right? So I know that in the past your folks have come up and said, this is how to hook up some translation systems, to some content systems, to some machine translation systems, and you've shown a bit of that today, but you're adding LLM into the mix. So can you talk about kind of the interplay of multiple birds flying in a flock and what we could expect out of that type of multi-bird relationship?
Well, actually, in a multi-bird relationship type web, you're already getting into the product, I see. That's okay. Basically, there's two parts of using LLMs really effectively. It's the training part, actually, the collecting data part and using that, and it's then actually using that trained data and applying it to whatever is happening. So you could really set up different workflows on both ends. You could have different people working on both ends. Someone that's really an expert in how do I train these models, someone that's very experienced in that. And then you could have like more of a localization person use exactly what is trained and apply that into the actual workflows that you offer to your clients. So in both ways, you can work on the exact same content, but just in two directions.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much, Matthias.
Yeah.
Oh, Matthias, scrap that off. Well done. Thank you. I don't have a 15 joke, but I'll think of another one.
I'll hold you to that.
You'll hold me to that. Great. Well, you'll have to wait and see. So Gabriel is up next. Okay. Good luck.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Gabriel Fairman. I'm the founder and CEO of BureauWorks, and what we're going to show today is our generative language engine. Really, our goal is to minimize editing time and also maximizing the human authorship experience, which is super important. Translators spend a ton of time fixing very manual, low-level linguistic problems instead of shining as authors, which is really what they all want to be. And what you see here in our screen is BWX, which I don't see playing in front of me, but I'll take a look over here. What we're doing is we're using everything as context, basically. So we're using translation memories, we're using machine translation, we're using glossaries as context with different kinds of relevant dynamic weighting systems that are leveraged by GPT 3.5 and 4, which you can point to your own instances. And by the way, everything I'm showing is live in production. If you sign up right now for BWX free for 14 days, you can see everything that I'm saying, so no BS over here. We're translating here while we teach items in yellow and while we're learning from the green, that's the translation memory, and we're essentially flexing the feeds according to how translators are teaching the engine. And essentially, translators can work within their own methodology. Notice that the term administração, for instance, here is different than what's being used in the glossary. And if I change it, it's going to now flag a translation smells, which is a questionable term, but I love it. It's basically picking up on semantic mistakes in runtime as the translator moves along. And what this enables really is the possibility of, instead of having a translation, editing, proofreading workflow to ensure quality, we're able to see same, if not increased levels of quality within a single translation workflow. An example here in Spanish, which is really cool, is if you teach the engine, right now machine translation is using the formal su. If we teach it the informal tu, notice it's picking up the determiner also by AI. Now, if we hit the translate button, what we're going to notice is that now it's going to make the sentence more informal. And if it needs to change verb tenses, it will change verb tenses. But the key thing is that the human, the translator, they remain the author, right? It's not like this is just being magically changed for them. They're in control. They're teaching the engine continuously. And once they make any kind of change at the segment level or at a terminology level, the engine is continuously learning from them, continuously providing them with feeds, and continuously improving based on what they're saying. So it also takes care of tag fixing, for instance, which I'm showing here as an example. Really pain in the butt to fix tags. If you hit the fix tags button, it'll fix tags anywhere from very simple to very complex. Seems like a simple thing to do from an engineering perspective. It's actually quite hard. Tag fixing is one of the things that we leverage GPT-4 for because GPT 3.5 does a terrible job with. Same thing here in this segment as well, fixing tags again. And it's important to note that our generative language engine is available in over 200 locales, performs really well, even regardless of domains and sensitivities. And personally, when I translate with it, I'm able to reach 100% more productivity, but I'm very biased. I like the product. But we see translators above, on average, producing 50% more, provided that they're working with the tool, not against it. And it's a really wonderful opportunity to enhance the human experience in light of all this AI wave. So thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. Your stinkometer is awesome. It's very interesting. How much, I'm an impatient and budget-conscious project manager, and I want to know how much can I save with this? You mentioned 50% faster. Does that mean a 50% reduction in costs and time? And can I actually expect an even higher quality score at the end?
Yeah, great questions. And I tend to be very cost-conscious, just like you. And we see, on average, at the very least, a 20% lower net post-editing rate when you apply it against the algorithm. But it tends to be a lot larger than that. And as far as quality goes, because of the semantic verification, we see no incidents of low-level mistakes. It's really, it becomes a matter of preferential changes as opposed to, oops, this says something that's semantically completely deviant from the original meaning. So you don't see that anymore unless someone is being grossly negligent, which you don't assume from professional translators.
So it smells like roses. Sounds like.
The stinkometer is pretty smelly.
That's great. Gabriel, you said that this is already in production, so available to anybody who uses BureauWorks. Is it on by default? Is there, can a user decide to turn it off. Would there be any reason to turn it off? Like, is performance maybe affected? Like, is it slow things down? Is it an option, basically?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is an option, and there are a few reasons. One, we still see a lot of users very concerned with privacy, even though I'm very comfortable with the assurances provided by both Microsoft Azure and OpenAI as far as their use through the API. We're very explicit about that in the VWX interface, so you can turn it on, and you can look at the terms and conditions, make sure that you're happy with it. So that would be the only reason I see people not using is for privacy concerns. So you can turn it on and off at the account level in VWX, and you can also turn it off on and off at a component level at the editor level as well. So like, let's say a translator isn't liking the smells, they can turn that off, they can turn that back on, and so on. So it's very customizable. And then the other thing is that it is, not only can you turn it on and off, but you can point it to your own instance of GPT, which is very important because a lot of our enterprise clients, they like to use their own instances, and VWX is fully compliant with that.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, so Ágnes, you're on.
Thank you. So hello everyone, I'm Ágnes and I'm CTO at MemoQ, and I've come with a method we call adaptive generative translation, which is a new way of translating with large language models, you know, what else? And I've just realized that it's actually a use case that Dr. Mars mentioned in the keynote speech. So, but I will start with a question. What is translation for you? Well, I think translation is work. And raise your hand if you agree with this. Okay, quite many of you. Those of you who don't agree, you can take a very short nap now, because I'm going to talk about work. And I see all the effort going into translation, and I also see that we all want to get it done quickly and also in good quality. So we've started coming up with tools a long time ago. We started with translation memories. We accumulated human knowledge in TMs where we could keep the human quality. But then we realized after a while that we can achieve much better leverage with neural machine translation. But then quality became a question. And we also lost the reliability and the predictability that came with TMs. And then large language models burst into this picture, and they know everything, right? And leverage is great, but then are they dependable enough? And their translation quality doesn't seem to be better than NMT. And this is where AGT comes into play. We mix translation memories for quality and large language models for leverage, and then we got AGT. And AGT's aim is to keep the speed of machine translation, but also to teach the LLM to translate better. And let's see how it works. We have, of course, a source text that we want to translate, and we have an AGT module. The text goes into this module, which does then searches in translation memories and term bases. And then it creates a prompt that will go to the large language model, which will just do what it's told. It will translate with the help of the TM-TB hits, and then the translation will go back to MemoQ. So that's it how it works. And let's see the benefits of this method. The first one is instant domain adaptation, but without the need for tedious training and time and cost. And this results in immediately and much better quality MT. And the whole method relies on general data from the LLM, but then also the results are specific to our needs from the TMs. And the huge benefit of this method that the training data remains ours, I mean yours, all the time, and it can be cleaned and maintained and controlled. And another huge benefit is that this method is not disruptive. It's a core functionality, and it doesn't require any special effort. And it's an innovation, so MemoQ has its first patent pending for it. And as a conclusion, I would say that we expect that translation will be easy with AGT. And finally, I want to thank Dave, my coach, for his help with the presentation, and thank you all very much for your attention. Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ágnes. That's very exciting. And it's great to see the application of these Gen AI tools in a translation environment. I'm going to ask you a similar question to what I asked Gabriel. How much better, how much faster, how much cheaper can you make the output with these superpowered translator tools?
This will be a very good question. This implementation has just been finished, so we are in the progress of making a lot of tests where we want to compare this methodology to neural machine translation and just generally to get impressions of translators. We are having a project, but they said that they will only get results next week. So I cannot say numbers because we did test when we validated the idea, of course, at the beginning. But it was just very few manual tests. And it turned out that, yes, translation does improve a lot, but you know, we cannot, I don't want to say like percents or numbers because it was just a small set of data. But we are hoping that it will improve.
I'll look forward to an update soon.
Yes, okay.
So I'm a big fan of another feature inside MemoQ. It's called Live Docs. And I noticed when you were showing the different technologies that Live Docs wasn't there. Can you tell me, on behalf of the other MemoQ users here, does it interact with Live Docs?
Yes, it does. I just didn't want to list so many because, you know, it's hard to follow if I list too many things on one slide. So it does use term-based translation memories, Live Docs, and maybe then we will use, we have these small translation memory chunks that we call LSC hits, the concordance hits, and that's what we will also use. But Live Docs is there too.
Great.
Oh, okay, great. Hello? Okay. Hello. I was just wondering, you know, there's so many applications of these LLMs. Like, you know, again, you have to use creativity. How do you choose what to go with? Like, how do you know, how did you come up with the idea of, okay, we're going to focus on AGT as opposed to other stuff?
This is a very simple idea, as you could see. I mean, the method is very, very simple, and I guess everyone will come up with, or everyone will probably copy it sooner or later, because it's so simple. We just had a colleague who just dug into the AI field and then realized that this can be done, and this could be done very quickly, and this can give huge benefits, especially compared to the effort that it required. Yeah, it was somehow a little bit. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Well, our last speaker is Catarina. Welcome her. Good luck.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catarina, and I'm here presenting you Unbabel's latest innovation. Did you know that there are trillions of customer support messages shared every day all over the world? Many of them cross different languages, but more than that, they also cross different cultures. For example, here, I'm showing you an interaction between a Japanese customer and an English customer support agent. We also know that around 48% of customers stop doing business with a company after a poor customer experience one. This is why it is so important to provide customers a good one. But let's go back to the example again in more detail. On the left, we have Akan, our Japanese customer. She's complaining because her book order didn't arrive yet. On the other side, we have Jamie, the English customer support agent, that is doing his best to provide Akan the best possible reply. And his reply, for us at least, looks pretty correct and friendly, right? However, Akan might not find the same. And let's see why. When responding to Akan, Jamie should follow some guidelines. For example, the answer should have a proper greeting and closing structure, and shouldn't be too friendly, for example, by using emojis. But with technology that we are developing, Jamie should feel pretty comfortable that his reply can be rephrased in order to be culturally appropriate, just like we are seeing here in green. Let me show you the innovation already working. In this demo, I'm showing you the exact same segments, but now already integrated in Zendesk. This innovation was built by a diverse team of linguistics, AI researchers, developers, and designers that work together to create this culturally appropriate content. What we are seeing now is Jamie answering to Ágnes, and now, very easily, he can go and click on the rephrase button, wait for a few seconds, and now his reply is culturally appropriate. After that, he can go very easily as well, click on Unbabel's translation button, and the reply translated is sent back again to Ágnes. It is as simple as that, and now the reply is culturally appropriate. But that's not all. We are also looking into other layers of transcreation apart from the cultural one. Having into account customer profile and history, our layer can provide Jamie some suggestions, for example, as a compensation that we know that Ágnes will deeply appreciate. Let me finalize by telling you the impact of our transcreation layer in your business. On one hand, we can think about the society impact. For example, the technology is aligned with responsible AI values and also sustainable development goals set by United Nations. On the other hand, it will have a tremendous impact in your company because it will allow the company to expand globally while still preserving a strong brand identity. I'm sure that with this innovation, your audience will feel completely supported, respected, and understood. Thank you so much.
Looks like you have a fan base in the audience.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. This is great. I really love it. And it's interesting that it's coming from the customer service world. I mean, it makes sense because you're, like you said, like a lot of customers can be lost there. And also you're the closest to the customer, so you know what they need. But, you know, in my mind, it's transcreation and personalization. So it screams marketing. So my question is, in terms of personalization, how granular can you get? Can you actually train it to personas or even individuals based on, you know, on your CRM data, for example? And if you can, who sets those parameters? Is it Unbabel that has to do it, or can a company, you know, can a user actually set that?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. So, like I said, we are focusing now on the customer support because it's a domain where we feel very comfortable when you have a long history working there. And actually, the need, it came from clients themselves. Because of this need of, I want to do customer support, for example, in Asia, and there we know that clients want to be treated in a certain way, and you don't feel comfortable just outsourcing it in another place. And this will allow it to be much more efficient, also in faster and also in economic terms. However, like I tried to present, we're also looking to other transcreation, what we call transcreation layers on top of the cultural one. And marketing is actually one of the key domains, of course, because it makes sense, right? And we also are already in contact with some clients to another integration, for example, Salesforce, to provide that personalization, not only in terms of the clients, but also in terms of the brand. And this is something that our clients could personalize. So do I want this module that we think it will be like that, another module on top of our pipeline, to be targeted to the client, so data that they are already collecting, or in terms of the brand itself? So we're thinking that it can be really flexible in that term.
Cool.
I hope it answers.
Thank you.
So this is essentially a cultural autocorrect. And I have a lot of experience, and many of the audience probably does too, with autocorrect not correcting in the way that you expect it to. How do you get the guidelines for a particular target cultural guidelines? Like, how do you know that, say, the Japanese Ágnes is going to be happy with the results? But also, how do you respond to changing or evolving cultural standards, in this particular case, if you're autocorrecting back to some standard that you've established?
Yeah, thank you so much as well for that question. So one thing that it makes this innovation very special is the team that built it. Because we are not only now picking an API from a large language model and just prompting it, make it culturally appropriate for Japanese. For example, here, now we have a team of linguists that is actually on the field in the sense that is interviewing native and non-natives speakers of the language that we already have. So we started with Asian language because it was a need presented by the clients, so Korean, Japanese, and Chinese. And these linguists are the ones that are actively, so on an ongoing process, validating if the output is actually properly correct. So we do think that that part and also the validation from the brand or the customer will be an ongoing process to make sure that we are not only correct, but also adapting to the changes that will be needed.
So as the cycle happens, you're having the autocorrect do its thing, and then it's sending to a reviewer to check all the time, or is this?
Right now it is, because we are actually now doing proof of concept of the first piloting. So it's in production, but it's still on the piloting version.
So I'm going to squeeze in another question.
No.
I was having fun.
So you can hold the question. Yeah, we can be like that. Time is our currency here at the PIC, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you so much. Offline we can sync.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well done. People thought we were nice.
And we're not.
So, you know what comes next, some of you, right? Yep.
So, the first thing to say is that we introduced ranked voting last time, and Slido, right now, you should be able to go ahead and vote and confirm with me the results are not visible, right? So go ahead, you can scan the QR code or go to slido.com and enter the hashtag LocWorld50. So in this case, you don't just vote for one, go ahead and click them all in the order that you want, all the way 1 through 6, and that will help us determine our winner. Just to let you know, the audience vote will be weighted 50% along with the dragons, so the dragons get the other 50%, and we will be announcing our winner tomorrow in LocWorld's closing session at 4:45 p.m. in here, so don't miss that.
So people are still scanning. No, you've got it. You're thinking, oh, who's 5th, who's 6th? I know it's tough, right? Good luck with that. We'll let you get on with that. We'll talk in the background. We'll give you a bit of kind of, the preliminaries is, there's a lot that goes on the PIC and putting it together. And one part is having the preliminary rounds where, unfortunately, we have to reduce the number of submissions to the final 6 that you saw today. So I want to give you a flavor of some of what was on the preliminary and give you the option of where you can find out more information. So let's have a look. This is Shirley.
Use large language models to subtitle, localize, and closed caption your video content with speed and efficiency.
Shirley Cody from RWS.
Implement localization feedback before release with a user-centric approach and a thorough internationalization assessment with this iterative process, global linguistic immersion.
There's Idi Sahai from Clavivio. She here? Somewhere? The lights are too bright. Okay.
The storm strengthened again overnight. CBS News and the Weather Channel bring you virtual weather technology so advanced, so real, you'll have time to get prepared.
Tom and the team from Caption Hub were there, as you can see, watching the news.
Tom's back there.
Hey, Tom. We had Elisa from Janus, who was in this year. And you can get a quick sense, real quick sense. It's flying by. So well done to her. And then we had Menka also from Janus, who was there. And you can find out all about these by going where? Well, here.
To the PIC channel playlist on the LocWorld YouTube channel. So just check out LocWorld and there's a playlist for the PIC there.
So thank you to all of those innovators, and there are more, right? We had about overall 20 plus submissions. We had 16 going to the preliminary rounds. Oops, there's voting for anyone who didn't get the code, right? Or just type it in. Yeah, well, anyone see this before? This is my bad visual from a few years ago. Still, I've kept the visual. But this was the moonshot idea. We said, we'd love to do this in the future, right? So just wanted to do some box ticking here. You can see a couple of greens getting there. Whoops, too quick. Yep. It's a platform for discussion. We've done a couple of panels. Incubate innovation to a degree. We do coaching sessions for innovators. We've had the investment community in these sessions, both as dragons and you're going to hear from one or two now. And yeah, center stage at LocWorld. Thank you, LocWorld. So what next? Well, we want to do all this stuff, all right? If you're not evolving an innovation platform, what are you doing? That's what we feel, right? So we're going to need help, and we're going to ask for help, and you'll see, if you want to get involved, you can get in touch with us. We'll put this on our usual channels. So let's get some viewpoints. Let me see if I can find, is Jason still in the room?
Yeah, he's right here. We started 3 minutes late, so we're going to take 3 more minutes of your time. Come on up. We really enjoyed your keynote, Jason. Thanks for doing this for us.
Oh, yeah. Pleasure was all mine.
Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Right. So can you tell me what was the first innovation was about? No, I'm only kidding.
Oh, yeah, I remember. It's
Yeah.
Uber, Quill, yeah.
Quillen.
Quillen, yeah.
We're
yeah.
Quillen.
Quillen, yep.
Brilliant. Yeah, you know, that's a flavor of some of the innovation that goes on in our space. And one of the things we've noticed is that flux and speed of change in innovation we're really seeing it. We didn't think we were going to see a lot of generative AI real innovations this time, but we did.
Yeah.
Are you, tell us a little bit about that flux and what we should do. You know, you covered a bit of it this morning.
Yeah, no. Well, I got to say, this is precisely the exciting generation of creative thinkers and innovators applying this new technology rapidly in ways that can make our lives easier. And across the various ideas and products, you got to see many different angles from techniques that will completely automate the way something is culturally made relevant to other techniques that will augment an existing process, to just sprinkle in a little generative AI to help you move faster, I think is 20% faster, to new tools to let you visually construct workflows. And so those represent many of the different idea tracks, and these are the experiments that will have successes that actually make us move faster. So I actually loved everything I saw today. And I think that there's a category, one thing that everyone should understand is most of the techniques, the models themselves aren't being tuned themselves. What the techniques are identifying ways that you can prompt them well automatically so that you can make the model perform better because you're giving it better hints as to how it should be thinking about solving your problem. One-shot learning, two-shot, zero-shot learning, et cetera. So, but there's actually another threshold that I would encourage everyone to look at, and that's using a set of techniques called parameter-efficient tuning techniques, like LoRa, using adapters to customize the intelligence in the model itself. And with just about 5 to 10 grand a month, you can run your own GPT that is trained for what you want to specialize it toward. And so that can be done today. So I think this is just the beginning. And so there's going to be some wins now that's going to make us faster. And then folks are going to be able to make it super good at specifically the translation work. So, kudos to them. I mean, I'd probably invest a little bit in all of them. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Cool. We have a couple of minutes still?
Oh, maybe a minute.
Maybe a minute. Yeah, I'll ask someone else up on stage. So, Monty, if you join us. So Monty Wilson, everybody. Monty was VP at Adobe, CRO at Sitecore, and acts as a consultant on the board of advisors. Monty, what do you think about innovation?
Well, it's interesting. I agree with Jason. Things are moving so fast. The one thing about generative AI, I've been fortunate enough, I work for K1 Investment Management now out of Manhattan Beach, and I've spent the last year working in the AI space and learning where we should invest and things like that. This is moving at light speed. And I tried to ground it in how is this technology actually used, and I think you brought it up in the presentation. And I'll never forget a conversation I had with a senior executive at a large consumer package company, and she used to talk about how they would do campaigns. And it's like, I used to have 2 to 6 weeks to do a campaign. Now I have 2 days. And it has to be out in 2 days in 9 different languages. And that's how fast things are moving, and they're going to only get faster. So the fact that generative AI is here, it's real, we can touch it, we can feel it, it is generating massive amounts of content. And we have to turn that around in hours to get it out to the consumer or the customer or the B2B, whatever the business case is. So tremendously exciting field. I'm not going to say which company it was, but I was actually texting with some of the guys back in Manhattan Beach, like, some of this stuff's pretty cool.
Hey, remember the moonshot? There you go, right?
There you go.
So thanks a million, Monty. Great job. Thank you. So hopefully everyone could vote.
Were you able to vote? Everyone was able to?
Any problems, just find us backstage.
And just to let you know, the voting will stay open until the start of tomorrow's keynote session at 10:15 a.m. But you can only vote once through Slido, so take your time and make the vote.
And straight after this, all the innovators and dragons we're going to meet at the booth, XTM Cloud booth, which is downstairs. And yeah,
Come
so you
talk
can
to us.
join us there and have a chat. We'll do photos first, and then we'll go straight down during the break. So if you want to ask more questions, you can do it there. And voting, what time did you say it's over?
10:15 a.m. tomorrow. You
Sure.
got till then till vote. So.
Well, before we go, it's time to pack the wagons, literally. But we want to thank our innovators.
Thanks, innovators. Let's hear it.
Thank our dragons.
Thank you, dragons. And thank you, the audience.
Now, join in the karaoke. Know the way to San Jose. Let's go.